is thinking to me means just a way to process what I'm experiencing in the world and my surroundings. It's not really for anyone other than for myself. It's to come to a conclusion, or just to take a break and enter a world where there are no restrictions or rules to be followed, where I can just exist freely and not have to worry about any consequences, which usually allows me some stress relief, and then I can come back to a problem that's in front of me. How to demonstrate that? So say I am stressed about my schoolwork and I'm worried about my friends, and so I'll just start to create a world where my friends or the schoolwork is something that is either the least of my worries, or that there's just something so much more interesting and important going on. So one of the major things I like to draw is an animal person. Usually a wolf or a dog, probably because when I was a kid I always thought that they were like the most powerful creatures. And so I'm not exactly sure why I anthropomorphize, but it just makes me feel like we are connected to nature, and it makes me calmer. I don't usually pick what I'm going to draw before I start drawing. I like the improvisation of just laying down something. It doesn't need to be planned out like the rest of my life. It can just be very free, and usually just a pursuit of an idea. Like, what would an animal person be doing? Like, would they be thinking? Would they be eating? Would they be dancing? Why would they be doing that? And just kind of, I guess I use drawing as a way to escape and leave behind my other thoughts and engulf myself in another world, like I did say. Often when I'm drawing, I don't have a lot going on in my head. Sometimes I'll be thinking about what I'll eat later on, or who I need to call, but most of the time it's just what is next in this image. I'll often incorporate this little character into my drawings, who is almost always being ignored, which I do. I think at first I didn't know why I was adding this character, but it became, I think, a symbol of trying to run away from your problems. And I think I add it kind of as a signature to my drawings to remind me that, like, I am still running away from my problems, and ignoring them, but they're still there, and I'll have to come back to them at some point, because they'll be running at me. Drawing is also kind of a meditation for me. While it allows me to disconnect, it also allows me to reconnect with the things that are important to me. So usually I'll end up drawing natural things like plants to show that, like, even though I might not be in the forest or outside right now, and I might have lots of work left to do before I can go outside and do what I want, that it's still here. It's still a part of me. I also use drawing to play with ideas I have based off of things I see during the day. Like, I'll see a very upset looking dog that just looks like an old man, and I'll go through and turn it into a character and try to give it a personality and a life beyond just being a sad old dog that's dragged around. And here it is again. And here's another dog person. I like to draw with pen because there's no going back, and you just kind of have to accept the mistakes, which is very hard for me to do in my real work in regards to school. I always feel like there's something better that I could have done, but with this, there's really very little way to change the outcome. And then you just learn to love the mistakes, which I think is really important, not only about your work, but yourself, and also for the other people who you're around. More recently, I was upset with how my drawings were turning out. Actually, not more recently. More recently, I'm becoming more confident with them. But I was just concerned with more the visual aspect of them, and I felt like I was no longer pursuing myself within my drawings. I felt like I was just creating something that meant nothing to me. And more recently, I've realized that drawing for me is not about the visual outcome. It's about, I guess, the idea that I'm pursuing, and just the willingness to let go and experience and not worry about what the outcome is going to be. It's kind of about being afraid and not afraid at the same time. Because I feel like most of my life I live with a fear of like not doing something perfectly, and drawing lets me live with that fear and kind of have control over it. For a long time I was trying to draw with a visual goal, like to make it look like someone else's work, or to make it as perfect as can be, but drawing isn't, I don't think I could use drawing like that anymore. I think that if I do that, I just build up too many standards for myself, and then drawing loses its value to me as a tool to connect to myself. Oftentimes I'll just end up adding more and more characters because I feel like there's too much space and that the characters must be lonely. When I was a kid, I used to feel as though all of my drawings had life, and I was terrified that they would come to life and leave the page, so I would have to label them good, or else I was fearful that they would be evil and come and try to hurt me or kidnap me from my family. Sometimes I'll use drawing to process what people say to me when I'm not sure how to take it, like when my grandma will give me some rude comment. I'll create a character out of her and see how I can interact with that character in a way that won't harm me and harm her. I'd like to pursue stories with drawing and perhaps become an illustrator, but I feel like within my drawing I end up losing so much of rules that you would need to create a story that I might be unable to create a coherent world that someone would be able to understand and allow their mind to inhabit. I feel like my worlds that I create are very uninhabitable for the human mind, just because there are no rules. Nothing, at least not the ones we understand. If you let me, I'll draw for hours.